Okay, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show, and it is Wednesday morning, the 4th. And yesterday was the opening. They gavelled in the 115th Congress, and yesterday, when they gavelled in that Congress to start yesterday, Georgia 9th District Congressman Doug Collins is now the vice chair on the House Republican Conference, and he joins us now. We did have that up at 9 o'clock, but obviously a lot going on in D.C., and the congressman has to go to a meeting that got pushed up, so he's with us now. Congressman Collins, good morning. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year as well, Brian. Yes, it is. We all gotten started. In fact, we had a meeting switch around a little bit, and I got to get to a little bit earlier. The new incoming vice president is going to be with us this morning in conference to discuss some things we got going on. Number one of which will be beginning the process of getting rid of Obamacare.
Okay, let me ask you quickly, Congressman. Now you say Vice President-elect Pence will be coming down to the conference meeting. I mean, I thought I seen that he was coming down tomorrow to visit Capitol Hill, but he's coming down today?
Yes, he's coming down today. We're meeting with him, and it's my understanding that in a last gasp attempt to find a legacy, President Obama is going to be coming over to speak to the Democrats this morning as well.
Yeah, we weren't really interested in talking about that right now. That I won't leave that to you. I'll say that we're more interested in hearing about. Tell us a little bit about what's going to go on in that conference meeting this morning with Vice President-elect Pence.
I think what we're going to see is just get an update on the transition, get an update on the things that we're looking for. As you well know, the Senate yesterday began the process of reconciliation, which is where we can do the vast majority of the repeal of Obamacare, of the issues that are around. They started that yesterday. We're going to continue to talk about that and in the timeline for getting that through the Senate and the House. And then looking ahead to the first 100 and 200 days of working on regulatory reform, tax reform, and that plays in well because regulatory reform. The president-elect mentioned the REINS Act, which is now our bill, and it'll be on the floor this week in Congress. And this is a regulatory piece that puts the balance of power back as it should be. And that is, if it has a $100 million cost to it from an agency, then it has to come to Capitol Hill, and we have to approve it, and the president has to sign it. So these are some good things that are happening, the stuff that I've been running on for my whole 4 years that I've been in Congress and talking about these conservative values. So I think that's what we're going to hear from the Vice President-elect this morning. And he's a creature of the House. He was here and served with us. He was also the House conference chair. So he has a great relationship. He understands the legislative process, and many of the things that we're going to get to do now, he actually helped.
Congressman, he's got a cell phone. Yeah. Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, your cell phone just went out just for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's H.R. 26, folks, and that's the REINS Act. And currently, executive agencies can unilaterally enact rules that have major economic consequences for Americans. The REINS Act would require all new major rules, those that have an impact of $100 million or more, to be approved by Congress. And you introduced this, and it's going to be voted on tomorrow?
We're getting ready. It'll be on the rules tomorrow. We should be hopefully getting it out of the House by tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I like the first direction. I don't want to, you got to run. It's more important that you go to the meeting with the Vice President-elect. But, the media, and we want to hear from our side, the perception of the start yesterday with ending the independent ethics oversight. What was that all about, Congressman? Share that with our viewers.
Well, number one, it didn't end what was being discussed doesn't end the independent board. The independent board would have still existed under this issue. It would still been a board that operated with a bipartisan board. The only problem was, just like anybody in the 9th District, what has become concern for both Democrats and Republicans is that it has become an issue for due process, in which, if somebody just, an anonymous tip off of somewhere became something in which you were having to defend yourself against nameless, faceless allegations, all this simply did was is they already had to report back any of their findings to the ethics committee. It just gave it was just a look at giving people, there was a lot of exceptions and other things thrown out about it. The problem was it wasn't the best time. I think there was a good decision to make to refocus, and we're focusing on regulatory issues. We're focusing on how, moving the House forward, and I think that's what it is. But for anybody that's out there saying it did away with this board or gutted it or anything else, just frankly, it was a lot of hyperbole about what actually was happening. And frankly, some of the first concerns about the way it was operated came from Democrats several years ago. Not because if you're doing bad up here, we need to get rid of you. If you're not doing ethical stuff, you're going to get rid of it. And I'm going to be the first to champion that. And I think that was just where this got off to a start. I think they reassessed it, looked at it the best way, and now we're moving forward. Let's look ahead to what's great going to happen in making America great again over the next 4 years, and I think that's what we're going to see happen. And when we deal with these issues, we'll deal with it with the new president. We'll deal with it in a way that people will understand, and they'll understand what's going on.
Well, I appreciate that explanation to our viewers, and we understand that, and we understand some of the media outlets that send it out in a different direction, so we want to give you that opportunity. You're going in as vice chair of the conference committee there. You're going in with the Vice President-elect Pence. Just tell us one more time. I know what you may think and other Republican congressmen may think is we keep telling you this, you're going to have to believe us, but tell us one more time, because we have the media come back and say that you're going to walk through Obamacare and pick out pieces and work on it. Are we going to repeal and replace, and is that the head of the discussion today?
The head of the discussion of the day is repealing it. And I think that's the first step that we've got to get to. We've got to get through the part of starting repealing this, getting rid of the tax.
Hang tight. His cell phone. Congressman.
Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. So you said you're going to start with repeal. All right, hang tight. Congressman Collins, he's on his cell phone. Maybe a bad connection in the Capitol. Don't. Are you there, Congressman? There you are. Stay right there wherever you're at. There it is. He's getting too close to Democrats. Well, I mean, we're not going to end it. Congressman Doug Collins is on the line. I hope he's still with us, and if he can get back with us, he's on his cell phone. Have we lost him?
No, he's still there. I think it's got back connection.
Are we still there?
Nope, he ended it.
He ended it. Okay, we're sorry we lost. If he calls back, we'll get back on as Congressman Doug Collins on his cell phone, and he is vice chair of the House Republican Conference. And you heard that Mike Pence is coming down today. Okay, they are not playing around. Vice President-elect Mike Pence is coming down today. They're not playing around. We're sorry we lost the congressman on his cell phone. Hello. Okay, hold on a minute.
Hey, tell him to come back on this one.
Congressman, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, we're going to have to run it this way. Let's wrap up here, Congressman. We're sorry we couldn't get you on your cell phone. But the last thing I asked you before we wrap up is that the Vice President Pence is coming down to meet with you and the conference committee as you vice chair that. Repeal and replace Obamacare. You said repeal is, when we lost you there, the top. Tell us some of that agenda today in that meeting.
Yeah, not a problem. Repeal is the top replacement. And I've always said I'm not a big fan of what necessarily, sometimes it's known as repeal and replace. I don't think one government program will suffice to fix a bad government program. So what we're looking at first is repealing. And then we'll look at the issues of what we have to do to put in a patient-centered, doctor-focused plan in which health insurance is affordable to all Americans. That's what we got to look at first. So repeal is on the first agenda. We can do most of that through reconciliation. Some we're not going to be able to do through reconciliation, which is going to require more legislation as we go through the year. This is where the president and the vice president are going to be working with us to get it through the Senate, frankly. The House can pass most anything. It'll be the Senate that will have the burden of getting over their sometimes archaic rules to make sure that the people's voices are heard. So we're focused right now on doing what we can do through reconciliation, and then looking ahead to what we're going to be doing as the year progresses. The only thing the president-elect has said is look, folks with pre-existing conditions are going to still be taken care of, and the president-elect has also talked about the 26-year-old provision as well, where students and children can stay on their insurance till 26. Those things could have happened 6 years ago. Instead, a very arrogant president decided he wanted to take over the healthcare system, and those things could have been done, very simply without a government takeover of healthcare. So we're focused on repealing. We're focused on getting it back to a very patient-centered, doctor-centered, situation in which costs are brought down by making access to care affordable for anybody who wants it.
Can you share anything else on the list for that meeting today that's on the agenda? Can you share any of the other topics?
Yeah, no. Right now, I think that's it. Just sort of getting it's not we're not getting doing a 1, 2, 3 checklist. It's basically coming in. Let's say here's where we're at. Here's where the focus. Getting an update on, I think, probably on transition and how we can look to move forward in the first 100 days after January 20th. Yesterday,
Speaker Ryan was voted back in to again be the Speaker for the 115th Congress. How united are the Republicans, and how excited are you about able to tell us? You've told me many a times. Tell us, give us a quick number of how many bills the Congress has passed that has sat on the president's desk or can't get through. So how excited are you that you now have a president you may be able to work with?
Well, we're extremely excited. And I think the bottleneck, again, Brian, is what we've talked about before. The bottleneck is going to come in the Senate. And I put it fully and squarely back on the Senate. The House has passed bill after bill after bill. You name the topic, we passed a conservative solution, and it got held up in the Senate, even in the past 2 years with a Republican majority over there. Now the president changes that dynamic. It's now the president wanting to sign conservative legislation, the House wanting to pass conservative legislation, and the Senate is going to have to decide, do they want to continue in the mode that they've been in, or do they want to continue to, to be able to adjust and adapt to a changing political environment so that we can get actually some stuff done. So there's a great deal of excitement. Yesterday, I think our conference is looking forward to it, and we're ready to get started.
Okay, Ford made their announcement yesterday. I know you got to run to this meeting, but Ford made their announcement yesterday. Are you starting to hear other congressmen on the floor talking about how excited the business climate will be here in the near future, and the optimism out there? I call Middle America.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's just been a discussion since November, the election in November. I mean, you see it reflected in the stock market. You see it reflected in people. There's still areas that we're going to have to work on. But when you have a business environment that knows that regulatory burdens are going to be lifted, that unnecessary, duplicative, things are going to be done, hopefully done away with, the executive orders that impact like they have are going to be, rolled away, so that we can get back to being, the country that, provides jobs and provides business and leads the world in economic output. Yeah, there's a ton of excitement in that part.
Let me leave you with the REINS Act. I want to go back to that, and I want to thank you, Congressman, for that. But for some of us that might not understand, it says currently executive agencies. Tell our viewers, what are the executive agencies that this will say rein in and not give them unlimited power?
It reins in all of them, and I think that's the great part. So, you're not going to have an EPA out there doing rules that, impact and not have any influence. You're not going to have the Department of Labor putting out overtime rules and things that affect, the things that have just cost businesses and cost universities and stuff. They're going to have to come up here, and they're going to have to make their case. It's going to have to pass the House and the Senate, and it's not filibusterable. It can actually move through. So that's another thing that helps us out, because the Senate can't filibuster it. It comes up here, we approve it or disapprove it, and it goes to the president for a signature. So there's a lot of excitement on what we have before us, and we're looking forward, and I'm looking forward to keeping y'all updated as we do it.
Well, I want to extend a thank you from all of us here in the 9th District, your district here of Georgia. We want to thank you. We want to congratulate you again on your appointment as Vice Chair to the committee, the conference committee. We want to thank you from the 9th District for jumping right out with a piece of legislation much like this. Well needed, great start. And, we'll say it from the 9th District. America thanks you also. We hope that Tom Price gets confirmed, and we think he will, as Health and Human Service Secretary. and we hope he gets confirmed so what you're talking about in Obamacare could be done and over with, out of our lives.
I agree with you on that one. Well, y'all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking
You
to
too.
you again.
I know you got a meeting. Thank you, Congressman Collins. So you have a wonderful day in D.C. if that's possible.
All right, we'll do it. Take care.
I just had to say, if you have a wonderful day in D.C. if possible. I mean, D.C., I'm sorry. I have to tell you, when Congressman Collins first got elected, Doug Collins, I'll never forget the first time he came home. And the first time he came home after going to D.C., the first thing he said, I went to his I think I went to his very first open meeting, okay? Very first open meeting. And Congressman Collins would say, the sweetest smell was Delta jet fuel heading south. You know, what was the best thing about being in Washington, D.C.? The sweetest smell was Delta jet fuel headed south. So anyhow, that's Congressman Doug Collins. I'm going to take a brief break and we'll come back. We'll wrap that up. Let me explain one more time what he said on the REINS Act there. Folks, you have these government agencies just enacting stuff from the EPA, hundreds of millions of dollars. Overreaches, government overreaches. You heard a great example with the Labor Department just instituting new overtime rules, these rules, those rules on the American businesses, on the American people, and that's going to stop. That's going to stop immediately. And how exciting is it? We had a shot to talk to Congressman Collins as he's walking in to meet with Vice President-elect Pence, and we're for sure he'll be sending me an email. His office is great about that. They'll be sending me out an email, giving me an update on that. I'm going to take a brief break. We're going to come back, finish the Twitter deck. Go ahead and take us to break, Cole. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office.